second thing is to distinguish experiences. Try to treat different customers differently, because if I get the same experience everywhere, then a Priority, Wealth, or a Privé customer is not going to be happy. Third thing is to tangibilize services. How can we give people something which they can touch and feel? It's very important because, how much can two people discuss an FD? Not much. How much can two people talk about a credit card? Not much. But if you start putting it as things which I can pick up and look at and, handle, at least at the branch, involvement will go up. And lastly, provide guidance, knowledge, and convenience. So here are some of the pictures. This is how the external fascia of Axis Bank branches look now. It's standardized. It talks about the products that are key for that particular branch. This is what I meant by tangibilizing services. We've actually taken our credit cards, make them into bigger things, and displayed them at the branches so that people can start looking at what our products look like. We've created a self-service zone at the beginning of the branch. We have, guidance and knowledge sections, and we have a distinguished experience with the premium lounge. And in some of our older branches, the premium lounges were actually tucked away at the back. Okay, so any walk-in customer didn't see the premium lounge. And the question we asked was that if business class in an airline was always at the last section, how many of us would aspire to fly business class? Nobody, because we would have never seen it. Yeah, and that's why today more people aspire for business class than first class, because nobody's seen first class. But business class you see every day. Every time you get onto a flight, you see business class. And your children would say, Mama, why are we not sitting in these big seats? Why do we have to go and sit at the back, right? So even a child knows that business class is better than cattle class. But if you hide away your premium lounge, then there'll be no aspiration in customers to want to upgrade themselves. So we brought the premium lounge right up in the front so that people see what they're missing when they have to go by and stand in the queue. And they see all these people who are sitting and enjoying personalized service. And they say, look, why don't I have that account? Why am I going and standing in a queue? Yeah, so I'll skip this. Let me come to the next thing, which is customer strategy. A very, very important leg, because people are a key ingredient or the key link to actually the customer's purchase pathway. The last mile is the person there. And like I said, you can have great advertising, you can have great online search presence, you can have a really good looking branch, but if that person across the table does not deliver the brand experience to you, you're not going to bank with this particular company, whichever one it might be. So what happens is, in terms of your customer experience, you can either have a very random experience, which is, एक बंदा अच्छा है, दूसरा नहीं है. Or I went to one branch, वहाँ लोग बहुत अच्छे थे. When I went to the next branch, वहाँ लोग अच्छे नहीं थे. Or, and then what you're doing, you're banking with a person. You're not banking with a brand. You're not banking with a bank. You can have an intentional and consistent experience, but you can have it as undifferentiated. Yeah, these people are nice, but they are the same as the next door branch and the next door branch and the next door branch. There is no difference between any of them. You can have a differentiated experience which is intentional, consistent, differentiated, and valuable. So that's when you actually start adding value to the customer. And of course, you can have a branded experience, which is intentional, consistent, differentiated. It's valuable, and it has unique brand markers, where a consumer starts saying, जो ये लोग करते हैं ना, वो और कोई नहीं करता. Or it becomes stuff which consumers start talking about, which gets you fame. And I'll give you some examples, may not be great at this point in time as a company to quote, but look at Kingfisher Airline when they first came in. We thought that Jet, how could anybody beat the Jet experience? Jet experience was great, mind you. They were like professional, and they came in after Indian Airlines, so we were all totally ecstatic by the Jet experience. But if you had actually looked at them, you would have thought, what can you better? You can't better anything. Jet Airways was doing such a good job. What did Kingfisher do? First they said, why should you get TV screens only when you fly internationally? Why not TV screens when you're flying domestically? So all their aircrafts came with flight entertainment. The second thing they did was very simple stuff. They started calling you guests instead of passengers. It didn't cost anything. I mean, the lady who goes and makes the announcement is paid as much if she's saying going to say guest or if she's going to say passenger. But once they started calling us guests, nobody else could copy that. It became a branded experience. It became something I came home and talked about. Said, have you flown Kingfisher yet? I went and they were great. First, somebody came to pick up my bags. There were 3 valets hanging around the airport saying, ma'am, are you flying Kingfisher? I'll pick up your bags. If you're not, I'm not picking up your bags, right? The second thing, they called us guests. The third thing, there was TV inside. And the fourth, in business class at least, they come and clean your glasses. I mean, how valuable is something like that to an airline? How is it going to change anything? But the air hostess comes and cleans your glasses, your spectacles. So she'll pick them up and she'll shine them and, spit polish them and return them to you. It's great. It becomes a talking point. And that is what I mean by a branded customer strategy, branded experience, which you come back and talk about. And it's very, very important for a service brand to actually have a branded experience. Next thing, alternate channels. I think this is specifically for banking, but it also comes into play for, say, airlines, where you're doing web check-in or you're going to do a kiosk check-in when you go in, because they use a lot of technology as well. So it's, each experience, each time a customer comes to your digital channels, it's actually a brand experience. It can make or break the brand. And that's why it's important that all your interfaces, and we manage internet banking, mobile banking, ATMs, and the physical interface, which is the branch, but on all, and call center, on all these experiences, you have to make sure at all these touch points that you're delivering the brand. Okay, so like for example, Vodafone does a good job of it because they'll talk about happy to help everywhere. They talk about it in their advertising, but they also talk about it at their other touch points, or their call center or their thing will say thank you for holding and we are happy to help. So it's a branded experience that you get at Vodafone, whereas all other IVRs pretty much sound the same. Yeah, but somebody's tried to create something different and branded. I'll skip this. The next thing is, customer engagement and activation. And I think this is as much applicable to tangibles as it is to intangible. But what happens sometimes is that people come into the intangible sector, like financial services or others, and forget about brand engagement and activation. But the important thing is to keep focusing on this, even though you're no longer now in FMCG marketing, because some things are the same between the two. And an important thing is to continuously keep re-engaging with your customer. How do you give your customer an occasion to engage with you? Because one-way talking, frankly, doesn't help. You can keep going and saying whatever you want to, but they're not listening to you. The only thing where the people listen to you is when you co-create something, when people come and participate on their own terms, when they feel that, yes, this is something that I want to do, and not something that they want me to do. Yeah? And marketers are really grappling with this question, how do we do this? How do we build engagement? We've also had a very challenging experience here, because since you're dealing with intangible services, we kept thinking, how do we engage people? Typically in FMCG, you will do some promo on it. So you will say, is pack mein khologe, uske andar kuch likhna, send it back. Or you will say, that if you show this pack, somebody will come to your house, you show this pack, and if you have it, then, you will get something. Or you will get a diamond or a gold coin inside one of these soaps. So you start buying the soaps to bathe with them, कि एक दिन खत्म होगा उसमें से gold का coin निकलेगा. Something like that is where people engage. But how do you engage with intangibles? I mean, what can you possibly give people an occasion to connect? And I'll just share some examples of things that we've done. It may not be perfect, but I think we've made a good start. So one of the things that we did was really applying the whole FMCG rural van operation kind of logic to banking. And we found that when we go to smaller towns, villages, people don't understand financial services. There's a lot of lack of education. People need to be told, why should I ever open a bank account when I keep my money in a bori under my bed and it's totally fine. And I don't make any investments. If something happens, I'll borrow money from somebody and, that should be okay. And secondly, people don't really know Axis Bank. Because the bank changed its name from UTI Bank to Axis about 5 years ago, especially in rural areas where we didn't have any presence as UTI, but now have come in for the first time as Axis, they're really wondering who you are. And they're thinking like, are we a multinational? Are we, something else? Because we've never heard of them. So our task was really twofold, and what we did was we started talking to people through local folklore. So we used, say, puppets in Rajasthan, we used the Bhangra in Punjab, we used some other dance forms in Gujarat, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. And everywhere we went, we told a similar story about two brothers who inherited an equal piece of land from their parents, but one person decided to buy into the whole financial services concept, whereas the other brother didn't, and how their lives panned out as they went ahead. So this was something which was really nice, because we spoke to them in their language. They would want to come and see what's happening, and they would think that we are doing things for them, because they left that whole venue feeling more aware and educated about financial services than they did earlier. Another example is a debit card activation campaign which we did last January. And this is again something which we did to jolt people out of their intuitive thinking, which is that cash is always cheap. If you pay by cash, that's the cheapest way to pay. But we took that insight on head on and said, nahi, cash se kharidoge to mehenga padega. In fact, if you use your debit card, you'll get a 5% discount on it. So this becomes an engagement topic because everybody has a debit card, but nobody is taking it out of their wallet to swipe. How do we get people to take their cards out and then start using them? And this was one such engagement program, and in fact, it was before Subhranshu joined Visa, but I'm sure his friends will corroborate this, that it actually was a case study that Visa cited in one of their industry forums, saying that Axis Bank beat the industry trend at that point in time. So while everybody else's spending on debit card went down during that season, because this was post-sale season, January, February, our spending actually went up and beat the market. So we actually got incremental share gains during this time. So just another engaging way in which we go back and engage with our customers. And a third example is really the Business Gaurav Awards, which we launched last year for our SME customers. You know, so when you're working in a financial service, you're actually dealing with a whole lot of different types of customers. So you have retail customers, you have rural customers, you have high net worth individuals, you have business banking customers, SME customers. So these are really small and medium enterprises. And instead of just going and talking to them about our products and our services, we said, why don't we engage them with us? So we did a lot of knowledge series in 10 cities where we called them to central meetings like these and explained to them how they could actually improve their own credit worthiness, how they could raise money from the bank better than what they do right now, and gave them a lot of useful tips and some discounts on credit ratings, etc. And we invited people to actually submit their own stories for the Business Gaurav Awards, saying that, you know, why do you deserve to be to receive this award? And we got almost 5,000 entries for this, which is pretty good from from our objectives point of view. So these are just examples of various ways in which we've managed to engage consumers, and we have to do it all the time, because if you don't engage with them, it's like, you know, somebody else will just come and take them away. So you have to constantly engage with your customers, otherwise they're not going to stay with you.